A group of Jewish and non-Jewish Canadian jurists is in Israel this week to take part in the Law and Learn seminar organized by the Schechter of Jewish Studies in Jerusalem. The 5-day seminar addresses contemporary issues facing Israel as a democratic and Jewish state. Reporter Naomi Sego heard more from one of the initiators of the seminar, attorney Howard Mickelson.
The idea of this gathering, this is actually the second iteration of this event. Some years ago, myself and the rabbi of the Beth Israel, which is the conservative synagogue in Vancouver, put together a program for lawyers for them to get credit, where we'd have excellent speakers, various attorneys general, chief justices, who would speak on very interesting issues, doctor-assisted dying, gay marriage, and things like that. And then Rabbi Enfeld would provide sort of 7 or 8 minutes of the Jewish legal input. And it was very wonderful because not only were people getting credit for this, but it brought together, Jews and Gentiles. And for many lawyers and judges and attorneys general, it was their first interaction with a rabbi, and they realize that they don't bite, and they find them very interesting and entertaining. And so after 2 or 3 years of this, we decided, well, wouldn't it be great to put together a program and bring a group of judges, lawyers, Jews, Gentiles, left-leaning, right-leaning people, and come and experience Israel and learn about various political and legal issues concerning Israel. So that's how that came about initially.
And so the agenda for this week seems to be very relevant to things happening in Israel at this time.
It is. The overall theme is sort of the legalities of the creation of a modern nation state. And each we kicked off the event. First of all, we were lucky to have the Canadian ambassador to Israel spoke to us, very enthusiastic about the Canadian-Israeli relationship. And then former Chief Justice Dorit Benesh started to introduce us to various issues of the tensions between the legislative branch and the judiciary. And that dialogue carried on quite extensively yesterday with a moderated panel of David Horowitz of the Times of Israel moderating between 2 gentlemen, one of who thought that the Israeli courts were going too far, and another one who was defending the role of the Israeli courts in trying to sort of balance the various tensions that exist in this state. So we're learning about the background of the creation of the modern state of Israel. I'm talking to you now, and today we started talking about the Declaration of Independence and the nation-state law that was recently brought in, and so we're learning about that, and again, the various tensions, and I'm talking to you now about 20 meters from Herzl's grave.
So you're in Jerusalem. Now,
yes.
This is a first-time visit for some of the people who are participating in this seminar?
That's correct. And one of the aims, it was sort of the unintended positive consequence the first time, but more intended this time, is the idea that you're bringing a number of first-timers to Israel, some of who are Jewish and amazingly haven't made the first trip. I myself, I didn't come here until I was in my mid-50s in 2015. But what we really got out of the last occasion, particularly, was the reaction of the non-Jewish members of both the bench and the bar in British Columbia who came here, learned these amazing things, but on the ground in Israel, and came back with a very, very positive experience. And in fact, we have 4 or 5 returnees just because they were so awestruck by the country. So, we're not. This isn't a sort of a zealotry mission. We want to just go back to what we were doing, which is learning interesting issues on the ground in Israel and enjoying everything that Israel has to offer. But part of it is for people to experience it. BC's former Attorney General was a member of our legislature, or kind of Knesset equivalent, is with us. She wanted to come last time but couldn't because she was in the midst of running for re-election. So it's a great opportunity to expose the community to Israel in such an interesting way. And I can already tell you, sort of 2 days into it, everybody's minds are predictably being blown country.
And the events that are happening around the country, certainly we have a security situation in certain parts. Is that being felt at all? Is there Jerusalem?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think It's interesting because the worry of a tourist, including myself, the first time I came here is, what happens if there's any kind of outbreak of hostilities? And when I came the first time, I was with my children. And many people who come, this last time some left their spouses at home because they were nervous about coming here. So there are nerves about that. This is my first time being here. It's my third trip here where something like this is happening. What I'm kind of impressed by is everybody seems very calm. And I think one of the sort of awe-inspiring aspects of this trip, because of what's happening with this outbreak and hostilities, is that we were sitting at the Schechter Institute yesterday with a debate between two people, very respectful but very heated, about sort of left-right political issues, while bombs are going off, only a handful of miles away. And it's sort of the juxtaposition of the fact that Israel deals with these incredible, extra existential security issues, and yet can tolerate a very, very robust debate, openly critical of the government, and do so comfortably when someone's security at stake. And I don't think Canadians could even begin to relate to that unless they're on the ground. So it seems like people aren't that worried. I don't think this is leaving a bad taste. I'm hoping that things will calm down so that we can carry on our trip as planned to Tel Aviv. And there is some discussion about those safety issues, but nobody's regretting they came, and in fact they're sort of inspired and awestruck by the way that the country seems to carry on in light of all of this.
Attorney Howard Mickelson.